There are some planes which quietly disappear into history, forgotten about, stripped for parts, or stored in hangars behind glass, admired by enthusiasts but no longer serving their original purpose. And then there are those planes which refuse to die. They refuse to disappear and leave a mark so profound on aviation that their legacy continues even when the world has moved on. And it's safe to say that Trijets were in this category. They were planes so sleek, so elegant and powerful, designed with 3 engines, arranged in ways that captured the imagination of pilots, engineers and passengers alike. For a short period in the 1970s and 1980s, Trijets seemed unstoppable, the solution to every long-haul, over-water, high-demand problem. Yet the story of Trijets was bittersweet and arguably short-lived. These magnificent machines were once hailed as the future of aviation, but they eventually fell out of favour. Today, most are gone from commercial skies. However, we do see some still operating in cargo flights, charter services, or military operations. But the real question is, how did Trijets change the world? And why did their domination disappear almost overnight? This is a story of the Trijet, a story of ambition, innovation, and the relentless march to technological progress. If you enjoy the video, guys, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe, as I do make these all by myself. I use no AI, so if you do appreciate it or if you learned something, do let me know by leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. Now let's start off by understanding the rise of the Trijet, and to understand this we need to go back to the 1960s. Air travel at this time was booming. At this time, airlines were expanding their networks, crossing oceans, connecting continents, and competing for the most suitable and fastest aircraft. Yet, there was a huge problem, as at this time, twin jets were not able to fly long-haul routes, as they were limited by ETOPS regulations, rules which dictated how far an aircraft could fly from the nearest suitable emergency landing airport. That meant that flying long distances, especially over water or remote terrain, carried increased risk for twin jets and was essentially not allowed. Airlines therefore needed a solution. More engines meant more safety and more redundancy. However, 4-engine planes were very expensive and a lot heavier than twin jets. Enter the Trijet, the perfect solution. We're talking 3 engines offering the perfect compromise of performance, speed, power, and efficiency. Aircraft like the Boeing 727, the McDonnell Douglas DC-10, and the Lockheed L-1011 TriStar were perfect examples of this era. These were engineering marvels offering elegance and high performance, which really became symbolic of this time. The DC-10 promised intercontinental power and passenger comfort. The L-1011 introduced advanced avionics well ahead of its time, and the Boeing 727 conquered the regional and domestic market with its nimble trijet design. Trijets were more than just functional machines. They were symbols of a new era, an era defined by speed, power, and technological ambition. Trijets were certainly revolutionary. However, this design was not just a compromise, it was a game changer. Trijets offered some major advantages over all different types of aircraft of this time. The first was the performance and safety, as 3 engines offered more thrust and redundancy. Losing one engine was no longer a catastrophic issue, like it would have been with a twin of this time. Long-haul flights became a lot safer. Over oceans, deserts, and remote strips of land, this reliability was priceless. Pilots also loved this reassurance, as if one engine failed, the plane could still climb, maintain speed, and most critically, complete the flight safely, and passengers were able to notice a difference in cabin smoothness and stability. These jets also offered flexibility at airports, as unlike heavy quad jets of this time, Trijets could still operate from shorter, less prepared runways, and airports that once struggled with larger jets suddenly had new possibilities. Routes that were impossible for older aircraft became new routines. Think about high-altitude airports in the Alps or remote African airstrips. The Trijet's balance, thrust, and wing design made these operations now feasible. There was also the increased efficiency over quad jets, as 4 engines meant more weight and higher operating costs, but 3 engines hit a perfect sweet spot. And for the first time, airlines could fly high capacity routes without paying a massive premium in fuel or staff costs. Then there was the passenger experience, as Trijets often offered increased passenger smoothness and comfort. They prioritized this in their design. The upper deck on the DC-10 and L-1011 was certainly quieter due to the engine placement at the rear of the aircraft. This offered smooth flight characteristics and made flying more enjoyable for passengers. It was now no longer just a flight, it was an experience, and pilots and engineers also loved these types of jets. For the pilots, Trijets were remarkable machines. They offered superb handling, they were forgiving at low speeds, they were especially forgiving during takeoff and landing. The tail-mounted engines on the L-1011 and DC-10 gave a unique flying experience which pilots could feel and master. And flying over oceans, pilots could rely on these 3 independent power plants. There was also engineering confidence, as jets of this time were overbuilt. Systems were robust and avionics were very advanced for this time. Pilots trusted these planes in ways that they did not trust early twin jets. The Trijets layout optimized thrust distribution. It also had an advanced wing designs for increased lift and stability. There was also the system redundancy, which was designed into every critical control. Together, this meant that pilots and engineers formed a symbiotic relationship with the Trijet. Machines built not just to fly, but to inspire confidence and awe. It's safe to say that Trijets certainly changed everything. And for a brief time period, they truly did dominate the skies. Airlines could fly longer, more demanding routes without massively increasing fuel or staffing costs. Passengers enjoyed a faster, smoother and more comfortable flight. And airlines advertised the luxury and power of these 3 engines, creating a new standard of prestige in aviation. Routes that were previously impossible became routine. We're talking about transatlantic flights without any stops. We're talking remote international destinations and high-capacity hub connections. In almost every way, the Trijet redefined what was possible in terms of commercial aviation. However, the beginning of the decline almost came as quickly as the Trijet entered the market, as the change was already in motion by the late 1970s and certainly by the early 1980s. There was rising fuel costs as the 1973 and 1979 oil crises hit hard. 3 engines still burnt more fuel than twin jets, increasing operational costs as fuel prices increased alongside them. The advantage that Trijets once had quickly became a liability. Amongst these conditions, the last thing that you want is increased maintenance complexity, as this meant more money, more moving parts, and more issues to inspect. Over time, tail-mounted engines were hard to access, turnaround times were longer, decreasing the potential running time and revenue-generating time of these type of aircraft in comparison to later twinjet models. But the real nail in the coffin was certainly regulatory changes, as ETOPS regulations gradually expanded, meaning that twinjets like the Boeing 767 and 777 were now certified to fly longer over-water flights. The safety argument that once justified twinjets essentially disappeared overnight. Then there was the public perception, as high-profile incidents, particularly involving the DC-10 in the 1970s, gave these jets a reputational problem. Even when investigations revealed that these design flaws were either very minimal or were addressed, passengers did not trust these jets. The passenger trust has already waived, and it was essentially too late for many people to trust these jets in a way that they once did. But despite all of that, some Trijets still survive. Despite their decline in commercial service, Trijets found second lives in cargo operations, most notably the DC-10 becoming a giant in FedEx, in UPS, and also in DHL. These jets still fly today in many instances. There's also military service, as the L-1011 and DC-10s were often converted for transport or refueling purposes. Then there are charter and VIP services, as some Boeing 727s remained a workhorse for regional and specialized flights long after the Trijet's initial decline. Their survival was not about efficiency. It was about versatility, durability, and the unique capabilities that even to this day a Trijet can only offer. Today, Trijets are essentially gone from the passenger world. Modern twin jets now dominate long-haul travel. Fuel efficiency and lower operational costs made twin jets irresistible for airlines. Yet the Trijets' legacy is profound. They expanded the reach of commercial aviation, they introduced new safety and operational standards, and they remain beloved by pilots and enthusiasts. These were the jets which paved the way for modern twin jets to dominate the skies safely, connecting intercontinental travel. The Trijet era was short-lived, but it was transformative. It changed aviation forever, even if it didn't last very long. Three-engine layouts once represented perfection, the balance between safety, capability, and power. They captured a moment in history where technology, ambition, and necessity all aligned perfectly. Today they are essentially gone from passenger skies, but every remaining DC-10 freighter or a 727 at a remote airfield reminds us of what was possible. Trijets may not have dominated forever, but they changed everything for a while, whilst they could. And yet, in that fleeting moment, the world of aviation will never be the same again. Trijets really was something special, offering an experience and a level of comfort that arguably some modern twin jets still cannot handle. And perhaps this is why DC-10s and MD-11s are still freighters today. That unique service purpose is something which almost no modern jet can replace. Do let me know what you think to this video, guys. Let me know if you enjoyed it. Have you ever flown on a Trijet? Were you a fan of it? Did you like it? Did you find it to be a unique experience? And what do you think the future of airlines and aircraft could hold? As some people do suggest or still believe that Trijets could one day make a reappearance. We'll see how things go, but again, do let me know what you think to the video. Thank you so much for your time, and goodbye for now.